Hello, hello, hello. How's it going, gentlemen?
What's happening? We here.
We here.
Yeah,
Sports Talk Live for the culture. Have my man Greg James joining us today. How's it going, Greg?
man, trying to beat the heat, brother. Trying to beat the
Ron, as y'all know him, Duke Evans. How you doing, sir?
Great, man. It's just a hot one. That's all. We're gonna
Exactly.
adapt. We're gonna adapt like we always do, though.
As Stevie Wonder's album said, hotter than July. You know what I mean? Definitely, it's summertime. So, we got everything going, but we just on lockdown. We got to be up in this AC. You can't go out anywhere. You can't get to the beaches and stuff if you so choose. A lot of people are still going, but, as we deal with this COVID 19 situation, as we move forward, dealing with that. I hope everybody is staying safe out there. The number one thing is be safe when dealing with this COVID 19 situation. And as we discussed last week, I'm going to jump into a couple things before I'm going to get into some other topics. Um, Definitely the NCAA, some more decisions have been made. The CAA, athletics, Bruce Philbin reported that the Colonial Athletic Association will not have a schedule this fall. They're not doing that. Schools like James Madison, Maine, New Hampshire, Stony Brook, Rhode Island, Richmond, some sports that are also in there, Villanova and William and Mary for their lesser sports. They're not going to play. The MEAC said they're not going to imbibe right now. The Patriot League said they're not doing anything. They're going to sit down. Uh, the NJCAA Athletic reported the National Junior College Athletic Association will remove football this season. They're doing that. The Ivy League, of course, has jumped down as we talked about last week, and the Centennial Conference, a Division III conference with 10 football schools, scheduled fall sports on July 7th. Those affected schools are Dickerson's, Gettysburg, Franklin Marshall, Johns Hopkins, to name a few. Looking to move those fall sports to the spring. Guys, surprised you guys aren't surprised. You're going to see a lot more of this happening in the schools that this is not a major revenue generating thing for. But we're still waiting. We're still in flux with the big business of athletics to make the call to shut anything down. Right now, they're just trying to maintain. What do you guys think?
you saw it coming. I mean, the Ivy League started first. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not playing football, so why even do it? You know what I mean? And for like the MEAC, they're probably not making money. That's probably not a big revenue generator unless they're playing the larger schools, the 1A schools,
for a
the
check.
F schools. But they already said we're not playing non-conference games, so
Yeah.
that right now, I ain't gonna go out to Penn State and get my rear end kicked for 5. So of course, and now you got the trickle down effect. I mean, as far as the HBCUs, Morehouse said at first, look, we're not playing. We don't care what the league's going. We're not playing football.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the CIAA shut it down. So that's the Division two HBCU schools. They shut it down. So it's just a trickle down effect. It's not worth it. I mean, they don't have the resources to test those kids on a weekly basis and put them in a bubble and isolate it. They just don't have the resources. They don't have the money. So not surprising at all.
Same boat for me. This wasn't like it just jumped on top of us. This thing has been brewing for a while. Got to be some decisions to be made. The brains of the operation jumped off first, which are the Ivy League schools. I mean, of academic excellence, they academics first. So they decided to shut it down. And at the end of the day, uh, if you decide you want to play, as Greg spoke on, it's all about resources. You got resources. Listen, if you have these team sports and how many ever players you have, whether it's basketball, field hockey, football, it doesn't matter. One person can turn into 10 people, 10 can turn into 20. Now it's like, okay, if there was any progress being made, guess what? You back to ground zero again. So are you willing to test all of that? You know, I think that the decisions not to have sports as much as we love sports and it is going to kill us. Sometimes the right thing to do is the right thing to do, and it might hurt, but it's the right thing to do. So I think that's where we're at. You know.
I think that's the best decision. You got the best decision is to err on the side of precaution. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's what we're doing right now. We're going to err on the side of precaution and move forward in the NCAA. And especially those schools and those conferences. We got Jonathan Moore joining us. Hi, Jonathan. Smoking
What's going on, y'all?
What's up?
Sports talk about culture.
Lounge.
I know that background.
Yeah.
Got the cigar going on,
You at Lit Jersey?
Tell Big Artie I said what's up.
Tell Artie I said hello. Lit Lounge.
I'll let you know when you come back in.
Oh, definitely. But Jonathan, we were just talking about the colleges, the major non-sports revenue divisions are shutting down football and moving forward. And we kind of seen that coming, and as expected, as even your big conferences said, we're just going to play in schedule, so there's no money to be made for the smaller schools if they try to play football. That check they get for going into Penn State or going into FSU for that one time without man, and they walk away with 600,000. That opportunity is not going to be there. So we're seeing them shut down quickly. I just want to get your take on that. What do you think?
Yeah. Pretty much it's definitely not worth it to anybody now, so the capital gain is gone with that situation, so then it's not worth it to the university. Why put the students through it, and pretty much a lose-lose. I mean, fans is us, we'll be losing out on it, but me personally, I think I don't think none of this is like, I don't think we're gonna like it. I mean, we want the sport so much. I think when this basketball season starts, I don't even think we're gonna like to watch it. I think we need those fans there. I think the players are gonna need those fans there. I think it's just gonna be too different. Like, I don't think it's gonna be, but I want it. No, I'm not saying I don't want it. I want it, but I just think it's gonna be totally different.
It's gonna be very difficult to maintain moving forward.
Right.
And that's what we're gonna have to wait and see. The other thing I want to jump into, the National Football League. And I don't know what we're calling them these days, but the Washington D.C. Football Club, they've been involved in a lot of drama lately. The Washington Football Club has been involved, and we all know about the naming of the mascot, for the Redskins, everything like that. That's finally come full circle, and they're looking to change their name. But also, and I just want to get, what do you guys think about that? Moving on from the term Redskins. What do you think about that, Greg?
Yeah, apparently some guy down in Virginia has a monopoly on a couple of.
Somebody went out and bought all the trademarks.
Yeah, dude down in Virginia, man, he got like 5 names, and he was talking about, he's not selling them. He just wants them to come to him. And I'm like, I mean, who has the foresight to pick out 5 names 5 years ago, figuring that this would come to a head? I mean, what is it? The Red Tails, the Red Wolves. They can't use the Red Wolves because Arkansas State uses them. The Red Hawks, Miami of Ohio uses them. They're stuck. They're gonna have to pay somebody to use a name. That in itself is crazy, but I mean that's where we're at with it. I mean, I thought they would go to like the Warriors or something like that and use the Seminole, but then again, Florida State Seminole ain't a good logo to use either. So, I mean, what do you do? I mean, I see some of the nicknames they got out here: the presidents, the generals, the Americans. I mean,
I saw the Red Tails tribute to the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, we're just at that point in society where things are just going to change. I mean, who's going to be next? The Cleveland Indians?
The Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Indians are just laid low. Like, nobody's really. But I don't know if because of the term Redskin was derogatory to so.
Yeah, I think that's what it was because of the.
Right.
Look, what the thing is, it's easy to find a name. Let's be real. We can sit here in a half an hour and come up with a name. right? But is it about finding a new name, or is it about keeping it within the Native American, scope of things?
I think they want to move totally from that. I think
Well, that would be easy. We could come up with a name for them right now if we wanted to. If they want to keep away from, the Native American scope of things. I mean, that's easy. Creatively, we can get something jumped off right now. That's what they want. So, but the answer to the question, I think that it was time for it to go. I think that the Native Americans already put out there long ago that it was very offensive to them. But like I said, they didn't have any power. I mean, their power was taken, centuries ago. And, there's been a cultural shift. We've seen that happen, and it's starting with the name. And from there, it's time to tear down the good old boys club. I think that what you finding out though within this, that billionaires, because we tend to think as society that they can do what they want when they want, but we see that the people got together, the important people,
FedEx, Pepsi.
Pepsi. So, it's showing you that depending on who it is, they can be removed, and this is what's happening. So the funny part about it is, to me, is this party that's been going on just didn't start, right? All the stuff we hearing, because we've been hearing it, right?
Wow. Hey, Shorty.
It is.
Hey, Artie, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Hey, there he is. How you doing, man?
Ah, man, wonderful, man. Wonderful.
Who else we got? I remember you.
That's great. That's great,
bro. All right, so let me know what you need me to do.
Yeah. Nah, I'm just shut that off. I ain't got shit off. I just apologize.
Yeah.
Everybody else.
Hey, Artie, you don't need any light. You don't need a lighter to light your cigars today. You can just go outside, man.
It's hot.
Hey, Artie.
I can't hear you.
Y'all say something now?
I said, Artie, can you hear me?
I hear you now.
I said, you don't need a lighter now to light your cigars. You can just go outside and hold it up to the sun.
Man, I'm telling you, last night it was 81 degrees in here with the AC on.
Wow.
As a brand new unit.
Wow. I have to come over there at midnight.
Yeah.
Good
There was a lot of people
Artie.
last night. They were playing Texas Hold'em.
Oh, okay.
So we had 2 tables.
Yeah, I gotta get over here.
There was a lot of body heat in here last night.
Oh, wow.
I stayed in the front.
Well, definitely good to see you, man.
We'll be over again.
We'll be over
I
again.
hope so.
Oh, definitely.
I hope so.
That is Artie.
Once a month thing going on.
Yeah.
You know, this thing is your home if you want.
Yeah.
Just gotta do it.
Come on down.
Good to know.
Good to know, definitely.
Anytime.
Good to see you,
All right.
Artie. Artie from the Lit Lounge.
That's it.
The Lit Lounge Cigar Lounge. Great spot.
That's right. Just let me know
check
what
it
you
out.
guys need and we'll set it up.
All right, definitely.
What kind of cigar? Let them know what kind of cigar I got.
Yeah. He's got the granddaddy of the lunatics, which is my favorite, of course, because I
That's
am.
perfect for him. Perfect for him.
This is a Super Toro. It's coming out next week. It isn't out yet, but this is a combination of the best blends of the Nicaraguan tobacco that they use, and they own their own fields. So this shit is on fire.
Yeah, okay, definitely.
So I got something. I'm like, back in the day, you get the J's before they release. That's what I'm on,
Hey, Cat, I'm here if you need me.
All right, definitely, Artie.
I got the cigar before they released it. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna get to taste it till next week.
But that's what you have. Sports Talk Live for the culture. We on the thing. The Lit Lounge
Yeah.
in Jersey, great place. Stop down there. Go see my man Artie. That's the home, one of the homes of Sports Talk Live for the culture. Definitely. Duke, you were saying before we jumped in.
Yeah, you got soon. Your mic is real low too.
Oh, can you hear me now?
You gotta probably adjust it to
You got me.
Little better.
You got me now. Got me now.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I was saying it's we are seeing the breakdown of like a well-oiled machine that was going on in DC, and we knew because we heard what was happening, but nothing could be done. You know, we were just hearing because of that's the good old boys club. You know, it's the billionaire boys club. So, like I said, we're saying now that billionaires, you know, they can be removed. You know, like we talked about FedEx, Nike, when certain
Pepsi.
parties
Yep.
are able to say that we feel that certain things need to get changed, then what do we see? We see things starting to happen. And it started with the name, you know? And now, mysteriously, since we really want you out, we got to go get these 15 female employees that was talking about this harassment.
Oh, okay. Let me jump into that real quick. Yeah.
So the jig is up. It's coming, you know.
Do you think, and I had hit on that right now, and it said the report 15 women alleged sexual misconduct by former Washington NFL team employees. Among the accused of misconduct are former director of pro personnel Alex Santos and former assistant director of pro personnel Richard Mann II, as well as lifelong radio play-by-play announcer and senior vice president Larry Michael. All these departed the organization within the past week. There are no allegations against Snyder or former longtime general manager Bruce Allen, who was fired at the end of the 2019 season. So, do you think Dan Snyder, and there's minorities owners who are right now connecting with investment folks, do you think there's going to be a move to get Snyder out of there? They want the NFL's trying to be really inclusive, female coaches, the whole 9 yards, Black Lives Matter. I mean, they're really going over the top. They want you to sing, lift every voice and sing at the beginning of the season. They're going all the heck out. They pulling up all the stops. Do you think there's pressure on Snyder, Me Too movement, with all this going on? I mean, he's not actually named in anything, but it's his responsibility. He owns the team, and it's hard to believe that all this was going on and you didn't know. I mean, will he have plausible deniability?
Weren't all the women? Weren't they all let go and then they signed some paperwork telling them, we'll give you, $50,000, whatever. I don't know how much it is.
Yeah, they have a non-disclosure.
Right, non-disclosure clause. So, so they're not going to be doing any talking. Mm. Well, they shouldn't be. If you take money, I mean, we can't. I shouldn't be. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You took money, so you clearly knew something was wrong, and you took the money for what reason? I mean, that's where the problem starts at for me. If you want to do the right thing, you don't take the money, and then you go to the EEOC and you start to complain, saying, "Hey, this is on," and hope you get some money through the other channels. But they took the money, so it's going to be hard to kind of listen to them now, knowing the fact that they've done that. That's where I'm at with it.
It's going to be
me. Personally, I think that it's about it's a matter of time. Because we know how feds are and law enforcement. It's all about building cases, and I think it started with the removal of the Nikes and the FedExes, because we didn't have to hear about any of it, but because they made things public, I think this is what starts happening to get you out of there. So, but you got to understand, you have to be very strategic about removing him because he's a billionaire. He has the best lawyers. And the thing that I think is going to get him removed is he's not bigger than the NFL. Let's keep that. Let's keep that, in mind. You're not bigger than any one of the owners aren't bigger than the NFL.
Right.
So with that being said, they can do what they want. They can do what they want outside of the NFL. But when it comes to the NFL, they have to fall in line.
Hold on 1 second. One second, Luke. I don't know about that. It is somebody named Jerry. He's
not.
Jerry, a little close, man.
Nah, I'm gonna tell you why.
They suspended Zeke. They suspended Zeke for 6 games. Jerry didn't like that.
Jerry has sent a death threat to the NFL and don't even sit on a blanket. It'd be Jerry.com that was sent from at Jerry. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna tell you why Jerry has to fall in line also. Every once in a while you get new rules that come up, and listen, just because you're a billionaire, right? doesn't mean that you can go get $1 billion in cash. You could just be worth $1 billion. We can agree to that, right?
Yeah.
Kraft, Jerry, they can go put their hands on the paper. So that makes them different. But how the NFL is different is if it was up to guys like that, they would not care about salary cap. And Jerry wanted that. Jerry was like, oh man, salary cap, we don't need it. So when you don't have a cap, you know what that means? That you're willing to pay everybody top dollar to come play for you. He wanted that. But guess what? Jerry couldn't have it. So he got to fall in line. And as a result of that, he has to try to win like everybody else.
Well, that wasn't really Jerry. That was the other owners knew that they didn't want that. The other owners didn't want that. So he lost that vote.
Because the other owners don't have Jerry money.
Right, so I'm not going to vote for that, and I only got a couple mil. Like I'm not going to vote to not have a salary cap, Where though, so it wasn't all Jerry. That's what I'm saying. Jerry got outvoted by the much owners that didn't have as much money,
Yeah.
So
it was a rule. So even if my point is, even if that all the other billionaires had it, ultimately the rules what the NFL says,
Right.
Yeah, but
and he had to fall in line.
You got to think though. Jerry Kraft got caught walking out of a brothel, bro.
They're a little different.
That ain't a little different, man.
No. Greg, you have to tell it right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
No. He got the first time they warned him. He came out of it on a Monday, and they said, and they pulled him over like, wink, wink. Mr. Kraft, I don't know why you're down here in the strip mall and you're worth billions, but the place that you're going to, let's just say, under investigation, and Kraft was like, okay, I'll be back here tomorrow. So that's why they get pissed them off, because that joint went public. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the story about Jack Johnson. When he was speeding, and
right.
Jack Johnson, the boxer,
right.
they're about to redo his story. So he was driving down the road, and they pulled him over, whatever, in his car. He was speeding, whatever kind of car he had, and whatever the fine was. He said, "Look, Mr. Johnson, whatever, you were speeding on this road. This is how much fast to ride. This is the fine. The fine could have been whatever they hyped it up back then, like $50." So Jack Johnson goes, "How much is the fine? $50? Okay. Well, here's $100, because I'm coming back this way. So I'm going to speed again when I come back going home. So here, take this 100, since the fine is 50, and we'll be cool. So there'll be no need for you to pull me back over. You already got my fine money. So moving forward. But yeah, but it puts Goodell in the spot. And like, what's he going to do? Goodell's always, and a lot of people haven't felt he's handled situations in the best way moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with the Dan Snyder situation, especially with minority owners getting with investment bank. They're probably going to try to make a claim to buy him out and move him on.
I think that all of us right now, I think that we should all get our money up and then we buy the Redskins.
Yeah.
I don't have enough. Sorry, you don't have enough. But I mean, I don't think it's gonna go that far, because people ignore the White House for you Dallas Cowboys fans, the strippers and the women. And
I didn't see that. That's all I understand. That's the place where they got together and played bingo.
Bingo! You're watching film.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely naked women.
I don't believe that. Those guys are wholesome guys.
Oh, you don't believe that? They spoken like a true Cowboys fan.
Speaking of the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, July 15th went by. They did not work out a long-term extension for him. His agent is very tenacious. I forget his name right now, but his agent doesn't return calls until your offer makes sense. Like, he don't bother to talk to you if you send me an offer hey, look, ain't no reason to get on the phone with you. When
You
you
need
send,
guys like him.
when you send me an offer that's worth me picking up this phone and giving you a call, I'll call you. So you can keep giving, like, because there was talk about offers not coming back or being responded to, and he was like, there's no use of me picking up a phone to discuss something that's not a legitimate offer. When the money becomes legitimate and something to talk about in the framework that we see ourselves, then I will return a call. So that's where they stand. So he's going to play under that $31 million tag this year.
Not bad. Not bad.
Guaranteed.
Not bad at all for a bum.
And then, talent-wise, and I think what he was saying is, Dak Prescott team is saying, look, this year is $31 million guaranteed. Next year, you tag me, it's $37 and change guaranteed. So that's close to the next 2 years. I'm going to make $70 million guaranteed. Mahomes' contract, $140 million of it is guaranteed for his injury. So the next 2 years, he's going to get half of the Mahomes injury money guaranteed. He's going to make more than Mahomes over the.
He's not going to make more than Mahomes.
But I'm at over the first 2 years. Over these first 2 years,
he will.
And that's
bad deal because it's team friendly.
Yeah.
So it's very team friendly. But I think Dak Prescott has put himself in a bad situation by listening to the agent on this one. I mean, the goal of the game is to get as much money secured in the front part of the contract, i.e. signing bonuses or, guaranteed money. So, yeah, he'll get 31 this year, 37 next year, and be out of a job the third year. And then be treading somewhere like Cam Newton or Jameis Winston. Now, if he performs at a high level, he doesn't have a problem. But
so he's going to bet on himself. He's looking.
Bet on himself, and he doesn't look like Joe Flacco to me who got lucky. But if he has any chinks in his armor, if he gets hurt, sustains some sort of injury that sends him out for any significant period of time, he is going to lose. I don't see a victory for him in this. You got $31 million. That's fine. But Kirk Cousins got $84 million guaranteed over 3 or 4 years. So when you start,
if he goes his second, if they tag him again, they're not going to tag him the third year. So the way he's looking at, they're not definitely because just 144%. So you're not going to get the third year. So his thinking is $70 million guaranteed, and then I'm an unrestricted free agent in the third year. I can go anywhere I want, and I can sign a Kirk Cousins contract. These quarterbacks around here aren't that good.
They're not. But here's the thing, though. Patrick Mahomes is not making $30 million a year. This year he's making $20 million. Next year it's close to 30. He doesn't start making $50 million until about 3, 4, maybe 5 down the road. Yeah. So, you got to work out a deal that's, team friendly, number one, because you got to be able to sign people. And you got to be able to stuff some money into your pocket. And he's just not seeing it that way. Oh, well, I'm Dak Prescott. Yeah, you may be a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, maybe. Slightly out of the top 5. We can all agree, and I'm not a Dallas fan, I'll be the first to tell you, but he's probably 5 to 10. Mm-hmm. Reasonably speaking, he's probably 5 to 10. Mm-hmm. He's not 1 through 5. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. And so when you roll that dice, right, you're taking a risk that you don't get hurt. And we all know quarterbacks get hurt. He get hurt all the time. Well, he's played every game the last 4 years or 3 years, whatever the case may be. You're right. And then he goes out there and gets whacked. And guess what? He damaged goods. He's Cam Newton. What is he playing for now? $3 million with a possibility to make $7 million?
That's why he said he'll probably take this $31 million. And him being a 4th round draft pick, coming out and playing on that the way he played those last 4 years, he's like, look, if I played under that 4th round draft pick money, next 2 years I'll play under that $70 million guaranteed money. I think that's the way he's looking at it. It'll be interesting to see. I thought he would take the contract, but he's like, no, because they're figuring I'll get $70 million guaranteed, and then I'll sign a contract. Right. I'll get that. All right, after I get $70 million in my pocket, moving forward, I'll sign a $110 million guaranteed contract. Like what's calling them sign? Like if you give me the golf contract after these 2 years, that's 110 plus 70. Right. That's 180 million guaranteed. I over the length of the contract. I think that's what they're looking at.
And myself, I don't see a problem with him doing this because, and I don't see a problem with Dallas either because let's look at Dak. I mean, he's the leader of their team, right? He's a quarterback. Could he play for any other franchise as a starting quarterback? Yeah, he can do that. Is he Mahomes? No, it's a different ball game, right? So I think Dallas is like, I don't know if he's worth that 125 or 150. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know that. So I can't get mad at Dallas for not locking him up like that because when you start talking about guaranteeing somebody $150 million, I don't want to have to worry about them sneaking out of games. They need to win games, tight games. So I don't think it's bad for Dallas. I think Dallas is like, okay, you know what? If you do this 1 year, or how about you start playing lights out during the 8th or 9th game of the season? How about we can just start this thing before the season ends?
Well,
Right?
there's no way.
They can do that.
There's
You know?
no way you can give Dak that money, and they didn't make the playoffs last year with the way how their division was set up. And you just can't.
Nah,
With the offensive weapons he had, you couldn't sign it. You couldn't give that money. There's no way they.
So here's the thing.
Kirk wasn't supposed to get that money.
Huh?
Kirk wasn't supposed to get that money.
Right.
They should
We
have
can
kept the
say he was
quarterback they had.
No, we know why.
Correct.
Here's the
It's a
thing.
little different. It's a little different. Yes.
So here's the thing. So if you all the cards are pointing at Dak, right? If you ask yourself, okay, who's going to be quarterbacking this team if I'm not here?
Did you see who they picked up?
We picked up Andy Dalton.
So they have a plan in place, brother.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I say
that man's got a plan in place.
right. That's why I say that Dallas is not in a bad spot because to me, Andy Dalton wasn't a horrific quarterback. I think he was playing with a bad organization.
Serviceable is the word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
If you think
now,
Andy Dalton can give you the
you
same
look at-
7 wins,
you look at this. You look at Dallas as a team, right? Stud running back, offensive line,
Above average.
receivers, right?
Above. They throw the ball.
Huh?
They lucky they ain't wheeling Tom Brady.
So my point is this: it's things in place. So if you have a guy that can possibly throw a deep ball and he's accurate and does not turn the ball over, which I think Andy Dalton's capable of doing, then you might be okay, regardless of what Dak does.
Oh, and by
Now,
the way,
if Dak starts the season, and remember, he's going to get this 31 regardless.
right.
If he starts playing lights out, Dallas will be like, okay, you deserve the money, and we have great insurance behind you. And last I checked, everybody needs a backup quarterback. And I think Dalton is way capable of coming in and winning 4 or 5 games if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're in a bad place, Dallas, at all.
All business 101. I mean,
Yes,
you got
absolutely.
Cam Newton's on a 1-year deal. Jameis Winston's on a 1-year deal. Not to say that they're better than Dak. I'm just telling you who's out there.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to Bridgewater. Did he get signed to a long-term deal?
Carolina.
Right. Carolina scooped him up, and he did the injury treadmill. He got injured, unfortunately. The career derailed a little bit. Came behind Drew Brees. Drew Brees. Here's this kid out there, Bridgewater. He throws a couple of touchdowns. They win ball games, and bang! Now all of a sudden he lands right back on his feet for a starting job. That's what I'm saying. In my opinion, Dak put himself in a bad spot. You know, do you want to take the money? No. I mean, you want to argue a little bit, try to get more money secured in the front end, more guaranteed money, and then do what you got to do because he's playing a dangerous game. Because if he's hurt, you know, he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
If he
Greg,
Yep.
He I understand with the hurt part, but he's betting with that division. He's betting with that division that they can beat the Eagles. That's all it comes down to. If he gets in the playoffs, it's them and the Eagles. That's what it comes down to. If he gets in, he wants to get to the playoffs. Between the Cowboys and the Eagles. No, and that's the problem. That's why he didn't get his contract this year that he wanted.
He had to sweep him. He split them.
Yeah. But he's won one playoff. He's won more playoff games.
He's actually played in playoff games.
Dallas wasn't winning because of coaching. I think we all can agree with that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think what they want to do is, like any situation, when a new person comes in, you have Mike McCarthy. Before you sign off on any high-ticket items in any organization, the new guy has to take a look at it. You know, he just has to. Mike. They want to get Mike McCarthy's opinion of Dak. Because that's going to be what's moving forward, and that's going to be what they use.
But usually this guy, usually this guy, and Dak may not be his guy. You know what I mean?
The thing about it is, Dak is why he's in another bad situation is because our side is so loaded. Like, it's gonna be hard for him to win the playoff game if he got to go to Lambeau's first game, if he got to go play the Saints, if he got to go play the Niners, if he got to go play Seattle. Like, it's guns over there. You know, like it's never gonna be.
The NFC is loaded.
Like
tough. The NFC is tough.
When you get in that playoffs, it's any man can come out of that joint. Like, it's every night. It's different in that playoff. So he's probably not going to win a playoff game.
I think you have to look at his performance. I think if you got to look at his performance because it really gets understated, and because it's a team game, and I like everybody to do this. Look at all your great quarterbacks. When their defense has given up 30 points or more in the playoffs, look at their record. That's all I'm going to tell you. Look up that stat. When you have a great quarterback and their defense is giving up 30 points or more, look at those playoff records. They are not good at all.
Listen, man, you had to go that far. Any quarterback making 100 or look at how many Super Bowl winning quarterbacks make that money. That's where you start at.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not out there. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but there's only one or two quarterbacks that made over $100 million that led their team to the promised land.
Yeah. So it's a team sport, definitely. I want to jump into NBA real quick.
You got some shout-outs.
Shout them out before we jump into the NBA. Go ahead.
You got Miss Sharon Lynn Montgomery. How are you?
Hey,
Cousin Robert King Farmer. Holly Rosendale. Hello. The infamous Doug Scott.
Hey, Doug. What's up, man?
Andre Hayes. What's up, brother? Crichton Langhorne. Brother of WNBA star Crystal Langhorne.
Oh, okay.
Who else we got here? And Casey Johnson, teammate, West Virginia State University. What's up, brother? Thanks for joining, you guys and gals.
I want to talk about the NBA. They're in the bubble. Everybody's reported to the bubble. The bubble bunch. The bubble bunch is down there. And they got a little hotline down there too. They got a little snitch line down there too. Like,
somebody left the bubble. Hello? Yeah. Such
and he left the bubble with Alizé, and I'm not talking about the drink either.
Hey, man, my life's in danger, man. No, you can't leave the bubble. I mean, we don't know who you're coming in contact with.
Somebody called about the center for the Lakers was out without a mask on. He was reported on the hotline.
Because you can jeopardize everybody else playing. You're negligent. So I'd be ratting them out too. You're a rat. Yeah, I would be. Life and death situation. Unfortunately, I mean that's just where we're at. But I mean, you got to think. You got a bunch of young guys down there cooped up in hotels, and these guys are complaining about room service.
Yeah.
Oh, the food's terrible. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's no steak and lobster, man. You're getting regular meals like everybody else.
They got a little Simon.
That's not their life. So it's going to be tough. I mean, but, like I said, you hope no one gets sick by these actions by leaving the bubble.
And that's what you don't want. You don't want anybody to leave the bubble and bring something back inside the bubble. And then it really becomes a situation where you have people getting sick, and then you have to shut down the whole thing. Looking at what the schedule looks like, July 30th to August 14th, seeding games, August 15th to 16th, play-in tournaments, August 17th, the playoffs begin. August 30th, family guests of teams arrive. August 31st to September 13th, conference semifinals. September 15th to September 28th, conference finals. September 30th to October 13th, NBA finals. That's what they're hoping to do. That's what they're hoping to get accomplished as you move forward with this league. I think we're all in agreement that it'll be pretty tough, pretty difficult to try to get that accomplished. Just like we're talking about everybody just outside the bubble doing what they need to do. It's just some things that just make it so hard. This is just a tenuous situation when you're dealing with health and screening and everything. But that's what they're going to try to do, and that's what they're going to try to get accomplished. One of the other things that came out, and it hits me close to home, and I wanted to get you guys' opinion, the 76ers are entering into this thing. They're entering into this thing with a new starting lineup.
Yes.
Interesting enough, the new starting lineup that they're entering with has Ben Simmons moving from point guard to the 4 spot, to the power forward. Shake Milton becoming the starting guard, and Al Horford going to the bench. Greg, what do you think about this move?
A lot of money to put on the bench, bro. A lot of money to put on the bench. But, putting Simmons out there with Embiid, I mean, you still have the same issue. They're both sitting there trying to be in the dunker spot.
But you think, but you think with Simmons playing the 4, guarded by a 4, that gives him a lot of speed, a lot of quickness to get by the 4?
And that's the only thing that I agree with. He should be able to get by most of the bigs because of his, athleticism.
I mean, he's fast for a guard. He's just fast, period.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you take the ball out of his hands. But they experimented with that last year.
But I think he'll probably move over as the lineups change, as people sub in and some out. He may be handling the ball more. But at that starting lineup, they're going to start him at the 4 spot, and with him being in the 4 spot, looking for him to be out on the wing, baseline, and get by some people. Maybe get a jump shot or two. Get by somebody, dunk. Get by the 4, and then he's able to pass or to Embiid under the basket or kick out.
Who's the first guy coming off the bench though? Is it Horford?
I guess it depends on who gets in foul trouble.
So he'd be interchangeable between Embiid and Simmons.
Yeah.
He's going to get 20 to 25 minutes a night. At that price, what is he getting? $30 million a year?
Yeah, he's getting a lot of money, but hey, you need him out.
I mean, it's just a bad look, but I mean, it's a long time coming. I mean, he's athletic enough to play the point guard, but I think he may be able to flourish, off the ball. That's just in my opinion. He should be able to flourish off the ball because he's more than capable of blowing by most of the 4s in the league. Because no one's going to be as athletic and as fast as he is. So,
just to give us an update. We have Mr. Bob Kendrick. He'll be joining us very shortly.
Great.
President of the National
Negro League Baseball Museum.
Negro League Baseball Museum. So he'll be joining us very soon.
Definitely. This is the centennial anniversary of the Negro Leagues, and we definitely want to spend some time and discuss their great contribution to the world of sports and their great contribution to baseball.
We should be doing a show there, right?
There. Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah, we should be doing a show there, right?
Yeah, we're going to try to do a show there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely want to go out there and do a show from there when we get this COVID lift up. Duke, what do you think about Ben moving to the 4 spot?
Can it be done? Yeah. Because of this era of player. Years ago, absolutely not, because you're going down there with David Robinson and Alonzo Mourning, and so we wouldn't even think about that back then because of the type of player.
But now we have
we can move him down there. Now, how much production you gonna get out of him down there? I don't know. He's not a big man.
Yep.
Like you're making him a 4.
He
Just
was
because
lifting
he's
the
big.
weights though. He was lifting the weights. But Duke, we got Bob.
See,
Bob's checking in. I'm going to bring him in. Bob Kendrick.
see, and see.
I'm a mid.
So I don't know. There he is.
There he is.
We got to get you turned around, buddy. There we go. There we go. His mic is mic is off soon. There we go.
There you go.
He's on.
There he is.
There he is. There he is. And I would like to introduce Mr. Bob Kendrick. He is the president of the National Negro League Baseball Museum. We're very honored to have you on Sports Talk Live for the Culture, and we wanted to bring you on and discuss. This is the centennial year of Negro League Baseball, started in 1920, and the Major Leagues has been celebrating. I know CC Sabathia has been doing some things with They Play For Us, and I wanted to bring you on, sir, and talk and discuss about the great contributions that the Negro Leagues made to sports, made to America, and just been just really a shining point for African American entrepreneurship, as what they put together back when times were a lot more difficult to put things together. You know what I mean? It definitely, it wasn't easy trying to put things together back then. But the floor is yours, Mr. Kendrick, and go ahead, sir.
Well, I tell you what, you summarized it beautifully. I mean, that's the genesis of what the Negro Leagues represented. And I tell people all the time, this thing emerged from one basic principle. You won't let me play with you, then I just create a league of my own.
Exactly.
And amazingly, guys, that league would grow to rival, and in many cities across this country of ours, surpass Major League Baseball in popularity and in attendance.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what they did was they created what was essentially the third largest Black-owned business in this country. It only trailed Black-owned insurance companies who, during that era of American segregation, would insure African Americans more than the 10 to 15 cents that the white insurance companies would insure us.
Called penny insurance.
Back then, the white insurance company would insure me just enough to bury me. 10 or 15 cent policy. Well, Black-owned insurance companies came about, not only insured my livelihood, but insured my stock, insured my crop, insured my home, and as a result, made millions of dollars. Next, of course, was Madam C.J. Walker, who would become this country's first self-made businesswoman millionaire of any skin color.
Which she has a great documentary on Netflix also.
Yeah. Absolutely, doing black hair. Madam CJ had schools of cosmetology in every major urban center in this country and became the first woman to earn $1 million with a business structure. Next was Negro Leagues Baseball, and as my dear friend, the late great John Buck O'Neill, the great co-founder of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, legendary Negro Leaguers, a bus, 2 sets of uniforms, and man, you have 20 of the greatest athletes who ever lived. They could play. And really, guys, their contemporaries knew that they could play. It was just simply the social conditions of our time and fear that kept them out of the major leagues. So it all began here in Kansas City 100 years ago this year in a meeting that took place at the Purcell YMCA. Rube Foster led a contingent of 8 independent black baseball team owners into Kansas City. They met at the YMCA, and out of that meeting came the birth of the Negro National League, the first successful organized black baseball league. The Negro Leagues would then go on to operate remarkably for 40 years, from 1920 until 1960.
Wow, that's incredible. And can you talk more about Buck? I watched your YouTube thing, the documentary where you're talking about getting Buck into the Hall of Fame, and how key and how inspirational he was, and how he was such a tremendous contribution, not only to Negro League baseball, but to baseball in general.
To baseball,
and
absolutely.
And being an ambassador, he was
Yes.
an ambassador. Can you speak on him, please? Because I thought it was a great the way you explained everything. It was really tremendous.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I feel so incredibly blessed that I got to work shoulder to shoulder with the legendary Buck O'Neil, one of the finest human beings to ever walk the face of this earth, who just happened to be a great baseball player. But his contributions to this sport spans the gamut because he was a great baseball player. He was a great manager for the Kansas City Monarchs. He would go on to be a scout for the Chicago Cubs. And of course, as a scout, he signed Hall of Famers Ernie Banks, Lou Brock, recent Hall of Famer Lee Arthur Smith, hopefully future Hall of Famer, and Joe Clutter. He signed them all to their first professional contract.
Wow.
And then, of course, he would go on to break barriers himself by becoming the first African-American coach in Major League Baseball history in 1962 with the Chicago Cubs, and then would become the voice of the Negro Leagues. I mean, his compelling narration in Ken Burns' epic documentary on the history of baseball, I mean, it captivated everybody. And here, he was 82 years old at that time.
Wow.
And here was this very charming, gentle man telling these wonderful stories to baseball fans they'd never heard before. And guys, he was doing it with a twinkle in his eye and a smile that lit up the screen. And America fell in love with Buck at age 82. And I'll never forget the headline in the Kansas City Star after the premiere of baseball and Buck's amazing performance. The headline said, "A star is born at 82." When most of us are shutting it down, it jettisoned an entire new career for Buck.
Wow.
Matter of fact, he might have been a bigger star at 82
Yeah.
than he had been, and he was a big star in the Negro League.
Yeah.
And fellas, God blessed him to live another 12 years where he was literally gallivanting around this country.
Yeah, I see him on the show.
Preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
Preaching the gospel of the Negro Leagues and the virtues of his museum to any and everybody who would listen. And guess who was there for the ride? Me. I'm hanging on to his coattail. I guess I was a disciple because I was right there with him every step of the way. And what a blessing it was for me. And people will oftentimes ask me, they say, "Well, Bob, what do you remember most about Buck?" And obviously all the great stories that he shared, and I get to share them now with people. But the thing that struck me most about Buck, you always felt better leaving Buck than you did when you came to see him.
Oh.
Yeah, he just had something special about him that exuded joy, and it would spill over on any and everybody who was in his presence.
Great man.
So,
Go ahead.
Mr. Kendrick, I don't want to bully you because I'm not a bully, but I do want to let you know that we would love to come to the museum and actually do a show moving forward,
Oh man, no, you don't have to twist my arm to do that. Come on.
Oh, definitely.
Come on to KC. We love to have you.
And we like to get some barbecue while we're down there too.
Oh yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I ain't lying, fellas. It is not hype. It is the best barbecue on the face of the planet.
Yeah, but we're gonna need you. We're gonna need you to point us in a direction.
We would welcome problem because I'm gonna be right there with you. I'm gonna be with you.
We can't go pick it up. We need you to bring it because we're not gonna go to the right spot. We gonna go to what we see on TV, and we need you to go take us to the right spot. We
gonna get you tightened up. Don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about it. We
All right.
Only barbecue I use is the Kansas City barbecue sauce. Hold on, brother.
So Bob, can you tell us how you were able to reach the title of president, and also tell us about the facility, the museum itself.
Yeah, it's special. And honestly, my story is fairly amazing in its own right because, guys, I go from being a volunteer
Yes.
in 1993 with the museum to now try in my 9th year as president of this great museum. There's no way you can see that coming. You know, as I got involved with this museum in 1993, I fell in love with the story, and I fell in love with the amazing athletes who made this story. And literally, I became engrossed in it because I considered myself to be a baseball fan. And here was this entire chapter of baseball and American history that I really did not know a whole lot about. You know, I knew the names Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson and Cool Papa Bell. Those names transitioned mainstream. Most baseball fans have at least heard those names, even if they don't know exactly how great they were, they at least heard those names. But guys, I had no idea about the breadth, the depth, the scope, the magnitude of what this story represented both on and off the field. And I just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. And then I started to meet these incredible athletes. And I was just struck by the fact that to a player that I ever met, not one of them harbored any ill will or bitterness toward anyone who may have tried to perpetrate something against them as they were trying to create a pathway to play this game in this country. And I just found that to be an endearing quality because, as you all would likely agree, had they been bitter, every one of us would have said, you have every right to be bitter.
Yes.
But none of them were. But you could not convince them that they weren't playing the best baseball that was being played in this country. Now, no matter what they did, the world still said the highest level at which you can play baseball in this country is the major leagues. I don't think they ever succumbed to the belief that the major leaguers were better than they were, but everybody else thought they were. And so they wanted to prove to the world that they were as good as anyone. And so I just got so engrossed in this. And like I said, I wanted to learn as much as I could, and I didn't want to keep it to myself. I wanted to share this with everybody else, and I wanted them to feel the same passion I felt for this story. And then I go from being a volunteer to eventually becoming the museum's first ever director of marketing. And from that point, I had about a 12-year run as director of marketing, VP of marketing, left in 2010, and then came back in 2011 to become president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So it's been an incredible journey for me, going from volunteer to now trying to lead this great organization. And you asked about the museum itself. It's so amazing. Guys, we started this project in 1990. So we're celebrating 30 years as an organization, and we started it in a tiny one-room office at historic 18th and Vine in Kansas City.
Wow.
The office space, man, I'm telling you, it was like a little cubby hole. And it had a conference room table and a few photographs on the wall. And that was the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And guys like the late great Buck O'Neil and other former Negro Leaguers who were still with us at that time, they literally took turns paying the monthly rent to keep that little office open. And with it, our hopes and dreams of someday building a facility that would pay rightful tribute, not to just one of the great chapters in baseball history, but what now thousands of people discover, one of the greatest chapters in American history, and that's the rich and compelling story of the Negro Leagues. And guys, I'm telling you, it is such a special place. It really is. It's a nostalgic journey back in time, but what you literally do is you witness the rise and subsequent fall of the Negro Leagues, but you also witness the social rise of America simultaneously. And those two things go hand in hand. And of course, some of the greatest athletes to ever play this game called the Negro Leagues home.
And that's one of the tremendous behind the scenes stories because at the time baseball was America's pastime. Baseball was one of the most the popular sports, and there was a lot of things going on. And I remember I saw another story where the Little Leagues refused segregation, and they made everybody play everybody, which was another big thing. There was a story on Netflix, Duke, who was talking about an African American baseball team that went outside their community to play a game, and how baseball and sports and those guys, they would have been my father's age, and you know, and it definitely was a shock to me because Little League said no, we're not going to. If this team won and you won, you had to play them regardless of their color, and if you didn't, you'll forfeit. And so baseball has been such a powerful thing in sports itself. As we talk on Sports Talk Live for the Culture all the time, that sports is a big bridge to break down barriers, to bring people together, to cheer and things along those lines. And at the time, that's one of the things that I wanted to learn about, you know, the Negro Baseball League, is not only from the sports aspect of it, but from just the entrepreneurial business side.
Oh yeah,
That's the point that really interested me, as you know, as I start here my little sports talk shows. Like, somebody had to sit down in 1920 and say, look, we can build our own league, you know, and have, you know, the confidence, the wherewithal, just the determination, like,
and the resources.
Definitely, and that's the other thing, because we always say money talks, everything else runs the marathon. So, and that's just tremendous. Just to think what these men accomplished in 1920 and to build that league. And that's one of the things that I heard with the attendance and the growth of the Negro Leagues and what they were drawing across the country, is one of the things that made Branch Ritchie look at you know, bringing in African American players, because of the popularity he saw in the Negro Leagues, and how people were going out to see great baseball. They wanted to see great. They wanted to see great baseball. That's what they wanted to see. They didn't care. We want to see great athletes and great players.
Well, and there's no question. And really, it was the black press that pushed for the formation of the Negro Leagues, so they would have an organized body. Because you had these independent black baseball teams playing for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it was just so haphazard, and booking agents were taking all the money. And at the urgency of the black press, Rube Foster was able to accomplish what others had attempted to do but had failed. And that was to create an organized baseball structure. Well, in 1920 alone, over 400,000 fans attended games that inaugural season.
Wow.
Yeah, 400,000. And it just continued to grow until the Great Depression, like everything in this country hurt during the Great Depression, and Rube Foster's death. Yeah, Rube Foster's death really hurt the Negro Leagues, and then the Great Depression happened right around the same time. But then Gus Greenlee with the Pittsburgh Crawfords would revitalize the Negro Leagues, debut the East-West All-Star Classic in 1933. Debuted the same year as Major League Baseball's All-Star Game.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, and yes, it did outdraw Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. They would play their game annually at Comiskey Park in Chicago. And fellas, they put over 50,000 people in Chicago's Comiskey Park for the Negro League's All-Star Game, one of the greatest sporting events in American sports history that nobody knows anything about. And I can tell you right now, to put 50,000 in Comiskey under any circumstance is serious.
Yeah.
And my friend Buck O'Neill would say that black folks would come from as far west as Los Angeles by train, as far south as New Orleans, as far east as New York, converging on Chicago for that showcase event. Wow. We haven't seen anything quite like it since.
Right. Let me ask you a question about like those games. What were the cultural backgrounds of the fans? I mean, was it just black people going to the games, or was it just everywhere?
No. You had white fan base for Negro Leagues baseball pretty much the entire time. But really, in the 1940s during World War II, that white fan base grew exponentially because while there were a number of Negro Leaguers who got called into World War II, the superstars in the Negro League were too old. So the Josh Gibson and the Cool Papa Bells and the Satchel Pages never got called into service. Yeah, that good young Negro Leaguer got called. And so a huge white fan base started coming over to watch Negro League games. And ironically, at Negro League games, there really was no separation. We sat side by side, watching truthfully the best baseball being played in this country, without question the most entertaining brand of baseball that was being played. Now, in the Deep South, in Birmingham, we weren't going to sit together under no circumstance. And virtually everywhere else, we were sitting together watching the best baseball that was being played. And the irony of that, at Major League games, we were separated by chicken wire.
Wow.
Yeah, chicken wire was a dividing mechanism inside those stadiums that separated black from white. So black fans, if we were allowed in to watch a Major League game, we would sit typically down the left or right field lines, and then we would be separated with that chicken wire barrier from the white fans who sat in the rest of the ballpark. But at Negro League games, we sat side by side, enjoying the best baseball that was being played in this country at that time.
Now, what were the facilities like? Like, were they? I mean, I would imagine that they had baseball stadiums back then. I know Philly had like Connie Mack and stuff like that. I mean, were they on par? Were they like the same facilities?
Well, and by and large, they were using Major League stadiums. So I think if you're going to look at one fundamental difference between the Negro Leagues and Major League Baseball, is that Major League Baseball was better funded. They had their own stadiums. Right. And the Negro Leagues, by and large, were renting the ballparks from those Major League teams. So they were playing in the same stadiums. But you know what? That's one of the reasons that it took so long to integrate the sport. Because there were a number of Major League teams who were making money off the Negro League. Yeah, because they're renting the ballpark, they're getting a percentage of the gate and likely all of the concession. We acquired some letters recently, I would say about 5 years ago, that was written by Larry MacPhail. And Larry MacPhail had written these letters to Mayor LaGuardia there in New York. Mayor LaGuardia was really pushing for the integration of the game. This is 1945. And Larry MacPhail writes him a letter basically explaining why it wasn't a good idea to integrate the game. And the letter was written in a very racist tint, but there were actually some, carrots of merit to the letter, because he would say stuff like, well, if we sign players from the Negro Leagues, we're going to put the Negro Leagues out of business, which he was absolutely right about that. But then he'd go on to say something really asinine to the effect that, well, they lack the faculties to play in our sport. They're not smart enough to play in our sport. Now, first of all, I don't know when you had to be a Rhodes Scholar to play baseball. But anyway, and so he'd say that kind of stuff. But then in the meat of the letter, he really gets down to what was the
crux
reason he didn't want to see this, the crux of it. In 1945 alone, the New York Yankees made over $100,000 off of the Negro Leagues because they were renting Yankee Stadium, and they were renting Bear Stadium in New Jersey and Blues Stadium here in Kansas City. $100,000 in 1945.
Wow,
$100,000 is a lot of money now.
Yeah.
But in 1945, man, that's a whole bunch of money. So the New York Yankees were in no hurry to see integration because it was going to cut off a key source of revenue for them.
Wow. And you never thought about that, but go ahead, Greg.
Did the Negro League teams ever play the Major League teams, or like, well, I don't have scrimmage, but I guess inter-squad scrimmages and stuff?
No. They played countless exhibition games against one another, and the record books bear out that the Negro League or Black All-Star teams won almost 75% of the head-to-head matchup against their white counterparts. That's why I say that there was no doubt about their ability to play in the Major Leagues. It was simply the social conditions of our time and fear that kept them out of the major leagues. And I always preface the word fear because fear may have been more prevalent than the social conditions of our time. Guys, I don't think the superstar major leaguer was ever concerned about integration. But oh man, that average major leaguer was real concerned about integration. Because if you allow this influx of Black and Hispanic talent in, I might lose my job. And see, keep in mind, when Jackie Robinson joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947, he took somebody's job. He took a roster spot from someone, and from someone who was friends with somebody else in that locker room. And so now that guy is looking over his shoulder, wondering, damn, am I next? Yeah, but see, Ted Williams wasn't concerned about integration because Ted Williams could play, which is why I think Ted Williams so boldly used his Hall of Fame speech as a platform to advocate on behalf of Negro League players. 1966, when he stood there and said, I hope someday the likes of Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson will be voted into Hall of Fame as symbols of those great Black stars who aren't there because they were never given a chance. 5 years later, Satchel Paige becomes the first from the Negro Leagues to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And see, but a lot of people also did not know that Ted Williams was of Mexican descent. Yeah, his mother was Mexican. And so he understood that they could play. And I think he also had a sensitivity for the plight of those Black players and the fact that they could play, but they had just been denied.
Wow.
It's a lot going on.
Very, very, very enlightening. Definitely.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bob, with the COVID and COVID-19 going on, when do you see? I would assume that there's the task you have to take in a museum or any place where things are going on. Yeah. When you will be able to get full access to the Negro League Museum again?
Well, we're back open now. Okay. We have been open almost a month. It will be a month on Tuesday. We were closed for 3 months, man. Okay. The place was dormant. And as you can imagine, it was disheartening. Obviously, virtually every business in this country is enduring the same thing as we try to work our way through this incredulous pandemic. And of course, as you well know, this was such a big year for the Negro League Baseball Museum. As we were planning a year-long centennial celebration, which was going to provide a platform, an unprecedented platform in terms of national exposure, recognition, and awareness, but also was going to be the springboard for a substantial fundraising campaign for the Negro League Baseball Museum. And guys, we had gotten off to a flying start. The leagues were formed on February 13, 1920. Well, on February 13th of this year, we go back into the Purcell YMCA, just around the corner from where the museum operates currently. And we go back into that historical landmark. And I've got with me a distinguished all-star roster of guests, led by Commissioner Rob Manfred, Commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, Xavier James, the Chief Operating Officer of Major League Baseball's Player Association, the Honorable Quentin Lucas, the Mayor of Kansas City, 8-time Gold Glove winner and Kansas City Royal Hall of Fame famer, and now Jackson County Executive Frank White is there. The brand new owner of the Kansas City Royals, John Sherman, is there. And the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Missouri, Mike Kehoe, all there to help us commemorate the milestone anniversary of the birth of the Negro Leagues. Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball's Player Association announced a joint $1 million contribution to the museum. We rolled out our year-long plans for this celebration, which included a National Day of Recognition that was originally planned for June 27th, where all 30 major league teams were going to pay honor to the Negro Leagues, and we were going to stage a tip your cap
Yes.
to the Negro Leagues in stadiums all over the country. And then less than 30 days later, everything came to a screeching halt.
Pandemic.
And I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that it knocked the wind out of our sails, because we were all so disappointed and so disheartened by the things that had transpired.
Right.
But this is a story about resilience.
Exactly.
And this museum has to embody that same spirit. And so I use a bad baseball analogy. But coronavirus was essentially that big, nasty right-hander who just do one high and tight and knock you down. And now you got to get back and dust yourself off and get back in the batter's box and try to figure out how you gonna hit that sucker. And that's exactly what we're doing. We've got to get back in the batter's box, and we've got to make a way when there seemingly is no way. And so we're doing as much as we possibly can to salvage as much of this centennial celebration as we can. And that's with the mindset that we've already rolled over into 2021, the major events. But that really was the genesis for our virtual Tip Your Cap to the Negro Leagues campaign that went absolutely viral. Yeah, man, you know, I had this crazy idea that perhaps, since we're not going to be able to do the event on June 27th, of course, at that time, we didn't even know if or when baseball was going to return. And so I said, well, maybe we can do a virtual Tip Your Cap and see if we can't get some baseball fans and perhaps a few major leaguers and a few others to join us by tipping their cap to the Negro League. Take a photograph or video, post it on our website, and that'll be a great way to see if we can't build a little momentum. Well, little did I know that when we launched this campaign on June 29th, guys, we launched it with 4 U.S. presidents tipping their cap to the Negro Leagues.
Wow.
President Obama, President Bill Clinton, President George W. Bush, and former President Jimmy Carter, along with General Colin Powell, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Billie Jean King, Bob Costas, and then we even went into outer space and got a tip of the cap from astronaut Chris Cassidy, who was aboard the U.S. International Space Shuttle. And so this thing went outer worldly, and after that, it just took off. But as you all know, in our sport, there's nothing more honorable that a baseball player can do than a simple tip of the cap. It is the ultimate show of respect.
Well,
and I'm just so proud that so many of us
right now to you guys. All right, I'm gonna tip my.
I don't have a hat on, but definitely want to tip my hat to you, sir. I have the web page and everything up, broadcasted now. NLBM.com, National League Black Museum, Negro League Black Baseball Museum.com. I've been on the site, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna get one of those Centennial jackets. They're very nice.
It's sweet, man.
That's sweet. I'm gonna order mine now.
One with your name on it.
Yeah, I'm about to go grab one now. I guess the wife is watching, so I'm definitely going to get one of those jackets. They are really nice. They're really sweet. I'll show them up on our website and links. And I just want to say thank you, sir. Thank you for all you've done for baseball, for sports, for the museum, and being able to tell our stories and move forward. And it's just a great American story, and just one of the I think untold. We don't know so much, and like you said, I know Satchel Paige, I know those players, but I don't know the in depths of it. And I'm really inspired to take a look. We're definitely going to come out to the museum, but to read about the Negro Leagues. Could you recommend any books on the Negro Leagues?
My favorite book that I always recommend, and I think it's one of the greatest titles ever. The book is called Only the Ball Was White.
Oh, okay.
And it's written by Robert Peterson. It gives a great chronology, and it was the first substantial book done on the Negro Leagues. There are a number of other great books and documentaries, but that's the book that I always recommend. And my favorite documentary is one that's called There Was Always Sun Shining Someplace. You can probably find that on YouTube, but it's an outstanding documentary.
And I will definitely take a look at that. And thank you, sir. We'll be out to. We're gonna schedule some time when we get past all this COVID stuff and come out to the museum and definitely get some barbecue too. That's what we like to eat. Definitely saying. But definitely, Mr. Kendricks, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us about the Negro Leagues and the museum and the great Buck O'Neil and the stories and just the enlightenment that you've given us in this short period of time. And hey, and we would love to have you come back on. Definitely talk.
Got him now. I got him now. Yeah. We got him. And I want to also thank you as well for your service and your time, your commitment to keeping this dream alive. I made a couple phone calls, and as you know, Mr. Lou Lopez, we connected. He said, listen, this guy is great, and boom. And, we're connected. I would like to think that, this journey of being connected will continue. Like we already started talking about Kansas City barbecue. We have to get to the museum. There are things that are on our list that are probably most likely going to happen. But like I said, we have your numbers. We are in support of the NLBM, and we're just going to continue pushing this thing forward, man. I just appreciate you. You had a guy that was posted on your Instagram website, Negro League player, that lived in Tampa, Florida. I forget his name.
Yes.
I sent you a message. I'm a frequent visitor, and I plan to move to Tampa, but I'm a frequent visitor. I would love to meet him the next time I go, but I know under the conditions now with the whole Corona thing, and I'm hoping that by. But I would love to meet him.
Yeah, no, and it's really interesting. We just discovered that he was still with us, and every now and then that happens. And because we thought all the Philadelphia Stars had passed away, and it was only through that article written by the Philly Tribune did we discover that he was still alive and living in Tampa, 89 years old. So yeah, when things kind of open up again, just stay in touch with me, and we'll get you in touch with them.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, no, man. And let me say thank you to all of you all for welcoming me to the show and giving us an opportunity to talk about the work that we're doing here in Kansas City at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. It's such an important museum. This is such an important piece of history because this is American history.
Yes.
And it was on the verge of extinction. It was going to die when the last Negro Leaguer left the face of this earth. We cannot allow that to happen.
Yes.
Their legacy deserves to play on long after there are no more Negro Leaguers alive to attest to what this league represented both on and off the field, but also to serve as a wonderful tool of hope and inspiration for future generations to not only learn it, but be inspired by it.
Definitely. It's definitely inspired me. And I will welcome you back. Stay safe, sir. Good luck and good health to you and all your family and all your members. And we can't wait once this COVID thing passed to get out there and see the museum live in effect. I've been showing some pictures here of the beautiful statues you got around the infield and the bases and everything that you had. Just tremendous. And we look forward to getting out there sooner than later, hopefully.
All right, guys, I can't wait. Thanks so much.
Right,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the weekend.
All right, and I hope you...
Day, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care.
All right.
Oh, that was Mr. Bob Kendrick. Excellent. So I just learned a lot in that little bit of time.
Oh. Listen, we gotta get there.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
we gotta get there. And you figure we can kill a lot of birds. We can kill a lot of birds with one stone. You know, we We get the barbecue in.
Yeah.
We get the Chiefs game in. We get the museum in. All in the same thing. And the show.
Yeah, definitely. But fellas, thanks. This is a great time, great show. Learned a lot here. Definitely going to go check out their website, nlbm.com, Negro League Baseball Museum. Definitely check out the book, Only the Ball Was White. I'm definitely going to grab that and go to their site. They got some fly gear out there. I'm about to go grab that that Centennial Negro League jacket.
I saw the smile come over you when you talking about that jacket.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to go grab that. Definitely. And we'll definitely be here next week and talk about sports and see what's going on definitely in the league. And we'll be out. Sports Talk Live for the culture. See you guys next week.